You can create a lot of complicated and chaotic behaviors in Minecraft by stacking a bunch of pistons and observers together. This particular setup was shown to me by Spacewalker, and the puzzle that goes along with it is to figure out when exactly these colored blocks will retract all the way in, and when they do, how long does it take to repeat? I haven't solved that puzzle, but while I was working on it, I found another interesting idea, and that's what I'm going to try to show here. This setup is sometimes used as a block extender because it's a relatively simple setup. Like the circuitry you have to set up is pretty repetitive. It's hard to mess up. And you can move a block all the way out and all the way back in. One problem it has though functionally is that you often want the area you're extending the block into to be clear of circuitry. So an extender where you have to build circuitry all the way out to where it extends to often isn't that helpful. So what I tried to do was to create a kind of, extension setup where each one of these components, you could kind of match up with a piston in the old setup. And this way, all the circuitry for, transmitting pulses along the line of pistons is part of the line of pistons. So I'm setting up a bot to click this note block here every 1 or 2 seconds. Okay, now we speed up the game a bit. And yeah, this thing totally works as an extender. So it'll pull this white wool block all the way in, and then once it's all the way in, it'll push it all the way back out and then slowly retract. It will retract once without bringing the wool block back in, so it's kind of like pushes wool block out, retracts, extends again, pulls wool block back in. So here's the same kind of setup with the extender that carries its own circuitry, but we have it sandwiched between arms coming out of a two-way flying machine extension. So now we can move this thing back and forth, and it's almost kind of like a claw arm on top of a flying machine, so it can reach down and pull stuff up from the surface. I should mention that this isn't solving any new problems in Minecraft. Like, if you just wanted something that could retract blocks off the surface of terrain, a self-returning flying machine would accomplish the same thing. I think the only value this thing has, apart from being mathematically interesting, is that it just looks a bit cooler. It is a bummer that these are essentially binary counters, which means the further you want to extend, the longer it will take exponentially. So if you wanted to use this as some kind of 1540 block extender, it would take millennia to complete. I guess the challenge at this point is to try to find a similar type of extension that somehow retracts and extends in linear time instead of exponential time. I also tried adding hooks on the back of these components, so they're kind of linked from both sides now. This would mean that you don't get the kind of recursive retraction, but with these hooks in place, the components can't pass a signal all the way down the line. That's the next challenge, to see if you can create one of these extensions where the pieces hook together from both directions and can still pass a signal along a wire. Okay, I do want to see what happens here though. I have the game set to running at 10 times speed. It might break if the player is clicking too fast. Let's have extender click every 2 seconds instead of every... Oh. Huh, that does help. Oh, that's so trippy to watch. I'll make a time lapse of this and throw it at the end of the video. My name's Chris. Thanks for watching.